It's amazing, though, to watch these different members of Congress, though, coming forward. Lindsey Graham calling for a no-fly zone, calling for the assassination of Vladimir Putin, calling for massive arms. Democrats of all quarters coming out. You know, you had Chuck Schumer standing up there holding up pictures of aircraft that we want to send. Lindsey Graham wanting to send additional jets to Poland. And you had Representative Salazar from Miami, who came out just the other day. She was confronted by the gray zone and asked the question as, you know, do you support, she's a Republican, do you support these no-fly zones over Ukraine?
Do you support a no-fly zone in Ukraine?
I support everything that has to do with punishing Vladimir Putin and helping the Ukrainians.
Wouldn't that mean direct conventional warfare with Russia?
I don't know what it will mean, but you know, freedom is not free.
So you don't know what a no-fly zone will mean. If you have to shoot down Russian planes, I mean.
Of course.
Of course, let's do it. Let's do it. I don't know what it means, but freedom is free. Freedom. What is that? I love these like random little talking points, like freedom is free.
I think she said freedom is not free.
Freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. I'm sorry.
That was taken way out of context, man.
Oh, yeah. Right. That was way out of context. I love this sort of gotcha journalism. A reporter from the Gray Zone, which is, by the way, one of the very few sort of independent journalism websites out there, doing independent journalism, doing a great job of it, by the way, asking a representative of Congress, do you support a no-fly zone? It's not an ambiguous question, right?
No, and she walked up to the reporter. You don't have to answer those questions. You can walk away. She decided to say that.
And she's on the Foreign Intelligence Committee. I mean, so she is involved in this. This is her territory. This isn't like she's not some fringe representative that has no committee assignments. She's involved in these decisions, right? And, you know, this idea that like these are somehow Putin talking points and all this sort of stuff is also really I can't stand this, right? Like David Smith tweets this: adult human beings actually use the phrase Putin talking point to dismiss an argument. It's so incredibly stupid. I guess opposing a war in Iraq was a Saddam talking point. Opposing Nazis is a Stalin talking point. Who cares who makes the point? If it's true, it's true. So
this is referring to anything, right? But specifically, is this the Tulsi Gabbard talking point?
Right.
Okay, when Tulsi Gabbard went on camera and said that there are bioweapons labs in Ukraine that would be dangerous and the United States should shut them down and be very careful because if they fall into the wrong hands, they could be weaponized. And even though the United States has admitted that those labs exist, they're saying they are defense labs, not offensive labs. And she is pointing them out, and that is a Putin talking point.
Right.
Even though she said the same thing that the United States government said.
Exactly.
They're saying she's now a Putin mouthpiece.
Exactly. Yes. And so this, you know, Salazar, Representative Salazar, who, you know, is like, okay, yes, absolutely. Let's support no-fly zone. She's one of many members of Congress now saying the same thing. And this, of course, has evolved over the past few weeks. Well, last night, Tucker gave her the business on this, had her on the show last night. Because, you know, they made fun of her a week ago or so when she made those comments, and they invited her on. She said, yes, I'll come on to clarify my points. So Tucker did not disappoint in really destroying her and her position. And this is like, it wasn't just her. He's really destroying the position that I think we've been laying out here on this show, which is this will lead to World War III. Listen.
Gracious enough to accept our invitation to come on the show. We're grateful she did. She joins us tonight. Congresswoman, thanks so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, yes. So since you have called for war with Russia, how do you think that war, once it begins, would play out?
I think that's a hypothetical question. I think that we should concentrate, Tucker, in what Zelensky asked Congress today, which is
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't. No, and I'm in no way trying to cut you off, but I can't let you a lot over that. You said we should shoot down Russian planes. That's, of course, war. Since you've called for that, and you are a member of Congress. I think. Well, you just said on the tape we played.
That was but that was taken out of context because I said, of course, that I know what that means. That interview was not very well conducted, and that's why I'm here, because I want to clarify my position. Okay. And my position.
So that interview was not very well conducted.
I think what it seems like she's taking issue is her saying, I don't know what that means. And she is saying, well, I didn't really mean that. I meant we need the no-fly zone. And when I was asked to sort of push into exactly what that would entail, I said, I think maybe she was trying to say, I just meant I didn't mean that.
Okay.
I'm putting words in her mouth, and it's not very easy.
I think it's
because-
important. Let's play it again. Here's what she was. Here's that out of context interview.
Do you support a no-fly zone in Ukraine?
I support everything that has to do with punishing Vladimir Putin and helping the Ukrainians.
Okay, so punishing Vladimir Putin with a no-fly zone. That's what that means. Understand what a no-fly zone means is that when Russian aircraft enter that airspace, the United States and NATO are going to shoot it down.
Okay,
right?
let's let her continue to
Wouldn't that mean
clarify.
direct conventional warfare with Russia?
I don't know what it will mean, but you.
I don't know what it will mean. Wouldn't that mean direct conventional warfare with Russia? I don't know what that would mean. So either, okay, why are you elected, number one? If you're on the Foreign Affairs Committee, you don't know what that means? I'm sorry, like, I'm not giving her a pass on that. I don't know what that means.
You know, freedom is not free.
So you don't know.
What does that mean? Freedom is not free. Whose freedom? The freedom that by the way, that the Ukrainian government has clamped down on its own citizens and has shut down different state media and silenced voices in Ukraine. Like, what democracy are you exactly fighting for here? Just to be clear.
Know what a no-fly zone will mean. If you have to shoot down Russian planes, I mean.
Of course.
Of course, we can shoot down the Russian planes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, here she continues on this discussion here with about clarifying this position.
So what is the difference between that and the MiGs and the S-300s? What's the difference? I mean, Putin, you have to understand that we are, unfortunately, the United States has fallen into the Vladimir Putin's trap. He is the one dictating what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. He said, we do not want, we are imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine, and we are
so we're letting
abiding by
Putin
it.
control our behavior. Okay, so that seems like a
we
loss
are.
right there. Right. Okay, but let me just ask you, because we believe we don't need to have more evidence that Putin has bad intent, that he's evil. A lot of people believe he's crazy, including some informed people, including many Russians. So we know he's volatile, and we know that he's heavily. How many nuclear weapons, by the way, does Russia have? Do you know?
Many.
Many.
Only
About
one is
6,000 is
enough.
the guess. One is enough, and that's a fair.
One is
answer.
enough.
So are we
Right?
concerned at all that he might use a nuclear weapon against the United States? Is that a concern? Is that something that you consider as you recommend these policies?
Of course that we're very concerned, and we're also concerned that he may be throwing a biological weapon against the Ukrainians within the next few hours because he cannot take Kiev as he thought he was going to. So of course that we are in confronting a dictator. But I think that we should put this into context, and I thank you very much that you're giving me the opportunity.
Of course.
If we believe in the
Yeah. So please, you have the opportunity to provide context, but you've said nothing that is actually helping to provide context.
free world, that this is just going to be the first or the last confrontation with a bad actor, we're in for a very big surprise. Because if we do not confront bad actors with strength, then we're going to have China and Russia and Iran and Fidel and Venezuela and Nicaragua. They're watching what we're doing.
But if
But all of those are hypothetical wars. I want to continue to point out that we have more than hypothetical wars happening. No. Hundreds of people are dying in Ethiopia to the same scale. There was just reports this week of 3 Doctors Without Borders, volunteers being killed, plus a man burned alive by the military coup in Ethiopia, you guys. There's video of it. So we don't need to talk about these hypothetical bad guys when there are bad guys now.
But no, she wanted to make sure we remember. She said Fidel. She talked to, because she is Cuban American, right? That's who she says she represents down there in Miami, and we've got to watch out for Fidel Castro because
he's coming for us.
He's coming for us.
Okay.
He's coming for us. Yeah. So again, forget the medium here. Who cares if it's Fox News or CNN? This is an interesting discussion with a sitting member of Congress. Okay. On the Foreign Intelligence Committee.
It's a little, I think we should admit, it's a bit of hyperbole. Like, it is warmongering 101, right? So this woman is saying what we are afraid of the sentiment being, and she's saying it big and loud and crazy. And so we can but we can compact it into pretty much every member of Congress actions at this point in time. So let's let her continue.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm here, because I want to clarify my position.
Okay.
And my position is that we should not take the no-fly zone off the table. But before that, that's 2. We need to do 1. And one is to give Zelensky exactly what he's asking for. No troops on the ground. Let's give him the MiGs and the S-300s, what he needs to defend his own airspace. So he will create his own no-fly zone. And that's what I think we should have done months ago. It's embarrassing that this guy, this president, who is under the bullets, has come to Congress to beg for us to give him something that we should have done a long time ago.
Okay,
That's
let me
my
be
position.
let me be clear. When you say we should give President Zelensky what he's asking for, he demanded today, I think you were there, that the United States enforce the no-fly zone. But so you are for denying him that.
Well, but he also said, and then we can give you all.
So no, I won't answer that. No, I won't answer that question.
Well, she gave this independent clause, no troops on the ground.
Right.
Like, we're going to give you everything but human bodies.
Right. So you see this evolving, right?
As
To your
if
point,
like as if the Kremlin cannot read their press release with the list of guns that we're bragging about, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
yeah, like here's our press release of the
You're
stuff we're going to
doing
send you.
that.
Yeah, we're not doing a no-fly zone, but we have all this other crap.
Hey, Kremlin, just so you know.
Since we know that that should not be taken off the table, and I repeat it, I do believe that we should go to Plan A, which is to give them all the military weapons that he's asking for.
Okay.
Because
well, I
if
think
we
a lot
do
of
not
people sympathize with that. Let me just say, I think a lot of people who saw President Zelensky's speech today and who've seen the atrocities in Ukraine feel deep sympathy for the Ukrainian people and want this to end. I'm certainly among them. But I'm wondering about the implications.
So then I'm asking you, so then what should we do? Okay, all right, so what should we do then?
Always and everywhere, especially for the U.S. government or one of its elected representatives, act on behalf of the core interests of the United States government. It's really super simple. So if the United States is providing weapons...
Let me just tell you now that you
ask
said that.
Hold on.
Okay.
If the United States is providing weapons to one side in a war, how is that not participating in the war?
Listen, now let me just backtrack and say that you say that we're supposed to be representing the American people. I represent District Number 27, where you have millions of Cuban Americans, and I'm representing what we think. We know that we acquired peace through strength. Look at what happened in 1960. Fidel Castro and JFK.
Stop. I'm sorry.
JFK
I'm sorry. I'm not going to take the anti-communist lecture from anybody because, of course, I agree with you.
No.
And by the way,
I'm just
I
saying
hope
that
you're not
history.
speaking for, quote, Cuban Americans, but for all Americans, because it's not a racial question. It's a question of
I'm talking about
national interest.
I'm representing District Number 27.
I understand. But I'm just saying, I got it. And I'm as against communism, I think, as anybody. But my question is, if we are providing weapons to one side in a war, I think it's fair to ask, maybe the other side would say that's an act of war against us. And if that happens, then what next? And to not think about that seems negligent, but since you're on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I know that you have thought it through. So tell me your views on what would happen next.
Tucker, we have been providing javelins and stingers and ammunition, and we're providing a lot of military armament. So what is the difference between that and the MiGs and the S-300s? What's the difference? I mean, Putin. You have to.
But that's not an argument that we've already been doing it. So I'm for more.
Let's just get more of it. Yeah. Hey, the kids are painting on the bedroom wall, honey. The kids are using crayons on the bedroom wall.
They already have been. So let them keep going.
So let them now paint color on the ceiling too.
Get them a Sharpie.
Start painting on their bed. Do whatever the hell they want, right?
Right.
We've been giving them stingers. We've been giving them javelins. She's on the Foreign Affairs Committee. No, she hasn't thought through the implications of this. And as the president said just a few days ago in front of the House Democratic Caucus, this is World War III. Make no mistake about it. So where is this about face that Democrats have made, that Republicans have made, in the past few days? This going from no-fly zone, no way, to maybe we'll create our own no-fly zone for you, and we won't really call it that, but here you go.
And we're just hoping right now that the Kremlin construes none of this assistance as taking sides. And that's extremely dangerous to be teetering on the brink. I've picked up recently a book by a New York Times reporter. It's called This Is How They Tell Us the World Ends, and it's specifically about cyber warfare, which I'm told is it's an old term. Now it's called, I'll get back to you on that. Anyway, Russia could take out any infrastructure we've got right now in the blink of an eye, everything you've got that's plugged in and internetified, they can get into. They can take your money. They can take all of our infrastructure. They can take we've seen it in just the last couple of years, how the Keystone Pipeline, not Keystone, Colonial Pipeline went down because of hackers. Like, it's more dangerous than just nuclear weapons or bioweapons. It's also, all of these things are a concern. And if you take a side, you are raising your hand for vulnerability. And it seems at this point in time that only 35% of American voters want to raise their hand for that.
If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.